Lately, another thing that's really resonated with some of the readers is just the news regarding the fact that Jerry West is going to have a statue unveiled sometime around All-Star Weekend.
Mm-hmm.
What details can you provide about that?
You know, I mean, can you think of anybody that deserves a statue more than him? And, you know, with the All-Star game coming to Los Angeles again, the last All-Star game, we unveiled a statue of Magic Johnson. So we thought we need to, you know, unveil another All-Star, and Jerry West was perfect. So I'm looking forward to that day. It's going to be great.
Kobe posed the question, is it going to be featuring him as a player or the GM, or he kind of joked both? Are you able to reveal details about that?
Yeah, it will be him as a player.
Okay.
But, you know, I want people to also remember how instrumental Jerry was in the building of Staples Center, you know, that he was part of that process and you know, put a lot of input into that building. So it really is the perfect place for a statue of him.
Right. I know you kicked around in your book, and some readers as well suggested maybe Kareem would be the next. Is that something that's foreseeable in the future as far as logistically speaking?
I would have to think so. I would have to think that he would be the natural. But, you know, there's so many great Lakers, but certainly Kareem stands among some of the greatest of all time.
Right, right. What about the ideas, a few people were kicking around, just because there's so many greats, of the idea of having somewhat of like a museum or a Lakers Hall of Fame that would either be outside Staples Center or anywhere else? What's
you know,
take on that?
Those are like some great ideas, and we've talked internally about, you know, having a place where, although I love having the trophies here, you know, it would be great that where our fans could go visit them in person, and you know, so we talk a lot about stuff like that. So no definite plans, but you know, maybe someday we'll have a Laker land.
Okay. What's been the reaction so far? Just, I mean, being able to have Magic, you had Chick Hearn last year, to have Jerry. What's been the sentiment as far as this?
You know, we're so fortunate to have, you know, Staples Center as our home, and there are so many teams, you know, that move into new buildings and they never start the move off right, and so many people love the Forum, and the Lakers played there. It was so synonymous with Showtime and all that, you know, there was a lot of fear moving to Staples Center, but thankfully, you know, the very first year we're in Staples Center, we win a championship, and we've never, you know, it's never been a doubt that was the right move for us. I have to pick her up.
Okay. We'll pause for just a second here. So this is Princess.
Here's the troublemaker. So yeah, she just wants some attention.
Right, right. Now you alluded to all the trophies behind you. What's
Yes.
that like? You're in this office every day to see that from just a symbolic level, and
well, you know,
having a nice touch in your office.
It's like, you could call this my office, but I call this the trophy room, and that I just happen to have a desk in. You know, like the trophies are really the focal point. And if you notice, the blinds are kind of halfway. Like a lot of times I put them down because of the fluorescent light, because it overlooks the court. Right. And Phil, the first thing Phil will come in here is open those blinds, because he always wants the players to see the trophies and to be reminded of what that goal is, right. You know, even in November, you know, right. Look at the trophies. And, you know, we're lucky because in the NBA, you get to keep the trophies, you know, and like the Stanley Cup, you get the Stanley Cup for a year, and then it goes to the next winner. But, you know, we get to collect them. And so it's pretty awesome to see them all together.
Yeah. Do you think another one would entice Phil to come back another year? Or is this pretty much,
you know,
this is the last?
That's his decision,
right.
You know, but I think he made it clear that this will be the last, you know, time around with this team, because, you know, when you've won as much as they have, that there's a tendency to kind of sit back and say, well, we can pick it up in January or February or after All-Star break or whatever. And I think he wants to make sure that they don't have any regrets. And there is no worse regret in sports of not giving it your all. And you know, I guarantee you there's no athlete who thinks, hey, if I would have, you know, if they feel like they didn't give it their all, that's the part that haunts you. Right. And like, you know, one of the haunting things for us, you know, as Laker fans is, you know, when we lost to Boston in that series in Game 6 in 2008, and, you know, it just, you know, it wasn't the way it was supposed to be. Right. And that was a really tough summer for Phil, for Kobe. You know, Kobe was able to go and play in the Olympics and you know, take his mind off it by winning a gold medal, which wasn't so bad. But you know, they came back with a purpose, and now they're back-to-back champions, and they have a great opportunity to repeat again as champions. But it's got to come as much from within as much as the super teams that are being built around the NBA trying to beat this team.
Right. Just have a few more questions.
Okay.
There. You mentioned a lot, especially in the diaries entries, about just different meetings going on with the league. I think you expressed some concern with just this upcoming, you know, new collective bargaining agreement. Obviously, there's a lot of months ahead before we reach that point. But what's your latest sentiment and concerns surrounding?
Well, you know, I'm you know, I'm not allowed to talk to the media about the process. Sure. But, you know, we know that the agreement expires July 1st with the players, and we need a new agreement. And, you know, if you don't have an agreement, then, you know, then you're you know, things get postponed and you can't move forward. So I'm remaining optimistic that everything will be resolved and will be, you know, we'll have a new agreement.
Good to hear. Another overriding theme I drew from the book, you mentioned a lot about it. Well, a lot about Princess, obviously, but another thing is just your appreciation for just your public persona and you know, the fan support and wanting to be very available to media, the fans. Can you talk about just that role and what you try to do to reach out to everyone out there?
I'm so overwhelmed and humbled by the love that the Laker organization receives from the community, and our fans are the best in the league. And I know a lot of people will say, oh, they're a late arriving crowd or whatever, but they, you know, all you have to do is see the parade from last year and know that our fans give it their all, and, you know, will take a day off work and come down and celebrate with their team. And you know, I love being a part of that, and I love, you know, being accessible to fans and hearing what they have to say and their thoughts and their feelings about this team. And I love when, you know, a grandmother will tell me that the Lakers are what keep her and her 15-year-old grandson, you know, it gives them something to talk about and a way to spend time together where they can relate to each other.
Sure. And lastly, we covered a lot from your book, but is there anything that we hadn't mentioned that you want to mention as far as from the book or anything?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping, you know, a couple things. One, the chapter I'm most proud about is about my mom. You know, because everyone's heard my dad, you know, they know his story, they know how he made his money, and you know, no one really gets to hear about my mom, and I was really happy to be able to shine some light on her. And also I hope that you know, young women, you know, students read the book, that it isn't just about basketball. It's more, you know, there's definitely basketball's the backdrop, but it isn't about the X's and O's. It's about relationships. Sure. It's about the relationship with, you know, my dad being in a family business, with my siblings, with, you know, my boyfriend who happens to be the star employee for the family business. You know, it's just, I think it has a lot of interesting things in it for people that, you know, more than just basketball.